Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. What we're going to be planning on working on tonight is more of this Trips website that I've been working on. We've been working on the last couple of weeks. So, as a quick summary, this Trips website is intended to be a simple website, and I mean simple, for capturing when I and the family visit different places. So it started out recently. Myself and the family have been going around visiting different castles in Scotland. So in order to capture those and memories, basically, I suggested that we make a website. And my eldest child saw that, I saw that my eldest child was a little bit interested in this. So I thought if I get the framework for a website up and running, we could start showing her, or I could start showing her how to do some of this herself. The idea is that she can keep the albums up to date. Now, where it's kind of gone, in the direction that we've gone, is that in addition to being able to create the album, so if I sign in here, I'm not actually running, so I'll have to get that running again. Let's go in Visual Studio Code and hit F5. The template website that I use, or made use of, is from Mads Christensen. So it was purely just I mean just in the best possible way. Hello Nils in the chat room. The sample website that I borrowed from Nils and no, didn't borrow it from Nils, apologise. The sample website that I borrowed from Mads Christensen is just for albums. So the idea is that you would put an album in here, you would give it a description, and now last week we added in some additional information, which was date of visit, latitude, longitude. Those aren't required at the minute, although obviously if you don't provide them, it causes an error. We'll need to go back and fix that. Date of visit, sure, let's just make something up, and then 1 and 1, create album. So what we did last week, and obviously we had got a bug in there that we'll need to fix, but we also serialized some metadata into the creation of the album, so that we could start thinking about how we could grab the latitude and longitude for the location of the visit to then be able to plot that on a map. And that's what I would like to be able to do. Now, where we got to last week is that I started putting some thought around how we could grab the information about each castle or each location's metadata, so that we could then plot them onto here. Now, Nils in the chat room suggested that we might be able to write that out on the Razor page, so that we could then read that information when we load this page. So I'm curious, Nils, as to what your thought processes were in terms of how one would do that. Now, the reason I ask is because if I stop this and close this out a second, so I could see how, in theory, so I started playing with this. So this is me imagining that I would write out a script block that has a JSON blob in it. So if we imagine that this is a JSON blob that has an object array with objects in it, that's fine. But my question is, how would I then get reference to this JSON blob within this map.js, which is then used for initializing the Google map? Because I tried it and it didn't work. So the call to the init map function is here, and it's a callback from a URL. So I can't pass something into that because, well, it's a URL. So my question is there a way of doing that, or should I go down the route of where I was originally thinking about going, which was within this init map function, I would make a call to the server, grab a pre-created JSON file, and use that for populating the the markers on the map. So assuming Nils is in the chat room, that is where I was going to start. So I'm going to wait and see if Nils replies with something. What does that mean, Nils? But from the start, what does that mean? Let me wait and see what Nils comes back with there. Because JavaScript isn't my forte, I'll be honest. So if there is a way of getting reference to this JSON blob that we construct here. So what I tried, so this is my index.html, which is where I constructed the JSON blob. So what I thought about trying was just for reaching through that. So I was going to say JSON blob dot for each, can't type, element, and then I was going to say something like element dot or console.log element dot name, which is what I thought we'd be able to do. But then when I tried that, it threw a wobbler. So if I run that, but what I mean is, or were you suggesting that we write the JSON, the pre-constructed JSON into the map.js? If I take that breakpoint off and hit go gadget and go back to here, then if I look in developer tools, what we will find, oh, it did work. Hold on. That didn't work before. If you're going to work, then I'm happy with that. Why did that didn't work before? But if that's working, then I'm okay with that. I did a quick test before coming on the stream and that didn't work. But I'm happy that it does. So let me try it again. So JSON blob, blah, 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 blah. So in theory, I could do something similar to what's here then. So within albums, there is this. So if we do, I'm assuming that I can just put that directly within my script block. Blah, blah, blah. I'm making an assumption there for each, and then I'll need a closing one. Okay, so that's that, and then there. For each album in there, I want to write out. It ain't pretty, but it gets the job done, Nils says, and I think I agree. Var JSON blob is equal to that. Take that off and put this in here, and then for each there, then I want to do that, I think, and we're going to say how does one write out? I've seen it done, I think. Is it something really bad like that? Or how do I write out just raw JavaScript onto the page? What is it that it doesn't? It's the quotes that it doesn't like. Is it the quotes, or what is it that it... The old ampersand equals, I don't know. You're suggesting something like that? I genuinely don't know, Nils. Right, JavaScript into Razor page. Using Razor with JavaScript, how to mix JavaScript with C#. That sounds promising. Yep. Try writing raw string, as in just Bob. But then I also want it to be contained within just that. I've got two JSON blobs, that's not going to work. Okay, let's see what nils is. Keep. So we're thinking at html.raw Bob. Okay, see what that does. I think we broke something. Uncaught reference. Bob is not defined. Cannot read property for each undefined init map. So where did Bob creep in? Hold on, well let's do a view source. So if we come in here, we look in, we search in here for Bob. Oh, look at that. So it did put Bob in there, and then it complained because Bob was not within the curly brackets. So Bob is undefined, which is good. So if we put Bob within there, can only see. Oh, sorry. Let me fix that. Yeah, you only saw. Let's make this a bit. Let's put this a little bit over here so that everyone can see it. So where does my head start and stop? So here we go. So if we put developer tools on again, and we do a wee search for here and header. Search for Bob again. So then JSON blob equals Bob. That is looking better, but then it's still saying Bob is not defined. Why are you still telling me that Bob is not defined? Bob is there now. Oh no, because Bob's still Bob. Bob isn't defined anymore. So if we go back and say that ID Bob, let's try and trick it into saying Bob, and name Bill. Try that again. Welcome to the Bobbyverse. No, you're right. If we do that then. Ooh, that looks better. Okay. So let's once more in the breach. More tools, developer tools. We're still console.logging Bill. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I think. Yes. Because what we wrote was the console.log everything that was in that JavaScript or JSON element, which was that. Okay, that's coming together. So in which case, what we need to do then is we need to decide what we want to put into this thing. So what we want to put into this thing is a lat and a long value. So we want to write out lat long name indeed. So we want to write out lat. Let's start there. So lat and long. And then in here, we want to put in album. So is that then as simple as album dot, now what did we call it? We called albums property latitude, and then longitude. I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll roll with it just now. Album dot latitude. I suspect what's going to happen there is it's just going to write out that text, but let's give it a try. We also need not a semicolon, we also need a comma between the values. Tools, undefined. That doesn't look good. So if we search in here for lat, search in here for lat, yeah, that's just got album.latitude. Probably put lat and log will be numbers. They will be numbers, well, they'll be floats, yes. But what I need to figure out is how to break out into html.raw with other variable. What's the syntax for that? So we could build up the JSON before writing them. Oh, I think I see where you're going. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say that it might just be easier to write the JSON out. I don't know. This feels hacky to me, especially since I'm struggling even to write it out. That equals album flat. I'm not, although I think this will work, I'm not loving it. So I think what we'll do instead is at the same time that we create an, so we've already got code that creates the album. So when we came into here, when we came into here on post create, what we did was we created the serialized metadata file, which was data.json, which was the metadata for the album, and we stored that in the metadata file path. So what I'm wondering is whether at the point of creation we also add, now we're going to need some error handling for this because it's got the potential to go very wrong. But we could place it in the model as string. Well, what I was actually thinking was, oh, I see what you're saying. That wasn't what I was thinking either. But I'll show you what I was thinking. So at the minute we've got this thing that is doing a bunch of stuff. But what I was envisioning was, let's get rid of some of the stuff that we don't need at the minute. So let's take that out. That was all gubbins. That was me just mucking about. That was creating of the map. Oh no! Feel free to interject. Let me, because like I say, I think I mentioned this at the start of the stream, but JavaScript's really not my forte. So if I'm doing something that's inherently wrong, feel free to shout out. But what I was envisioning was, take some of this stuff out. What Eric69 says, what are you working on? It's a good question. So I am attempting to create a very small website for myself and my daughter, which is to keep a track of places that we visited. So it's essentially a website that allows the creation of albums, so we can upload photos to it. And then in addition to that, what I'm wanting to be able to store when we create an album is some metadata for the album, which includes the latitude and longitude. And what I'm working on just now is being able to take that information and plot it onto a Google Maps widget that we've added in here to then be able to click on one of these to take us through the album. So very basic, but it's kind of it's outside of my wheelhouse. So basically getting stuck at the minute on JavaScript side of things to put all these things together. But what I'd envisioned, Nils, was something along the lines of, if I were to do something like this and just kind of hard code it at the minute, let's imagine that we've created a markers.json file, and we'll fetch it, and then what we'll do is we will do something like Eric69, thank you very much for the follow, appreciate it. What I'd envisioned was this, and then once we get it, we do a plot of the markers, right? So we do that. So we fetch some markers.json that we create on the server side when we create a new album. That then comes down to the client. Then we'll then plot the markers onto the map based on what comes back from the server. So if all that works, what we should be able to do is, so let's go ahead and create that. So we'll do function plot markers. Plot markers. And then that is then the markers. Hey Manfred, how's it going? And then let's do something like, because I was toying with this earlier because I wanted to see if it was what route we were going to go. But if we were to do, double click that. Let's keep going with what we were calling it before. JSON blob dot for each function marker. So in here, it would then be something like bar position is equal to new google.maps.lat long marker dot whatever we call it. So it would be the latitude of the marker, the longitude of the marker. Then we could add that into a collection of markers, push, new, and this is kind of what we were doing before, where it was kind of just one that we were doing. Google.maps.marker, and then that would be position is the position that we just created. The map is our map, which is this thing up here, which we'll need to define out with this thing. So var map, because we're now using it in multiple places. So then we do map as map, and then, oh, let's not worry about that one just now. So we're adding that into our collection, and then what we need to do is something I'm not sure if that's it or not, but if we do that and then say for each function marker, and that's there. Okay, so we haven't got anything called markers.json yet, so it will fail. But if we were to go into here and create one, markers.json, so into here, if we created something like this, this is just some made up data, long. If we were to go back in here and borrow the values that I had in there before, which came from here. So if I were to take the lat and longs that were here, that was the actual ones of Slane's Castle, which is one of the first places that we went to. So if we go into here and put that in, and that in, and I called it long because I prefer that, right? Okay, now so I'll comment from add a closing parentheses to line 37. Closing parentheses to line 37. Yep, you're absolutely right. Here we were calling marker.set. Do we not need to do that? Or that done differently? Let's examine marker out. Oh, we're setting the map there, that's why. I'm not clear on what I was doing here with regard to the markers. Let's give this a try. If we do all of that and we hit F5, then in theory, we shouldn't have broken anything. We should still have the map, but that doesn't look good. More tools, developer tools. Cannot read property of undefined at plot markers. So what was that? Did it actually make the fetch? So if we do I was just setting the breakpoint there to see if it then comes into here as well. If I run that through, network tab, it got something back, but it doesn't have anything in it. Why does it not have anything? Oh no, it's no, it is there. Maybe. No, I think I did see it. So if I go back to network tab, and I go back to, where was it? There. Then the response, it's there. So it's got the stuff, but it's almost as though it's not waiting on it. Fetching function, then plot markers, and then JSON blob should have something. Once more into the breach. So we go back to our console and say, run it again. Here, JSON blob is undefined. Oh, hold on. I think I've forgotten something. So here, breakpoint there. Oh, JSON blob. No, there we go. Okay. So then if we come in here, now we've got some stuff. So marker.latitude and marker.long has got some values. Markers will then have, so if we get all the way down to here, markers is then an array that has some stuff in it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then, boom, it should show it. But the example that I was following before was doing other stuff that we're not really ready for, but maybe it's required in order to make it work. So let's put it in. Bounds is equal to new google.maps.lat long bounds. Let's put in this other thing that it had going on here as well, which is this thing, animation. I like the sound of that. Close that, close that. That needs a semicolon, I think. Then in here, bounds.extend position. Right, and then a semicolon there. We're then going to do map.fit bounds. I wonder if this is what's necessary in order to put it all together. Let's have a wee look. Okay. That put it in the right place. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So we're still sort of cheating, but it's taking shape. So then how does one zoom out a bit? Hey Kim, how's it going? We've just plotted a point on my map and it worked. So let's get some other stuff here. So let's do knock all castle flat and long. Let's get some other information so that we can start making up some data. So this is my other question, right? So if I do that same thing for Slane's castle flat and long, this is where my naivety comes into play, right? So the value that I wrote here was 57 and then minus that. So that, I'm assuming that's because Kim's saying just fine, bit tired, so probably won't stay for long. Not a problem. You can help me out with my latitude and my longitude first, right? So in order to make Slane's castle work, I had to put in 57 and then minus that. Now I'm assuming that's because it uses west here, so I needed to put in the negative. So this is north by west. So I'm going to assume that I can just put that in as a, no, that needs to go in as a negative number as well. So if I were to go back to here and put in this, then I would be able to put in lat as that and long as that, right? And then in order to make this work, that would need to be a negative number 2, correct? I think. So if we refresh this and go back to here, I've never been with coordinates either, Kim. Oh, look at that. So there's Cruden Bay, and that is Knockhall Castle, which was, oh, look at that, that worked. Okay, so where else have we been? Let me just find my postcards. 2 seconds. No. No. Aha. Okay. Found them. Right, so let's put in some other castle coordinates. So if we were to do a wee search here for Balmoral Castle, flat and long, take that, so that's another negative. So let's put this in. Now this is obviously the data that I want to put into, I want to be able to put this in as we're adding the album. So I just want to fake it out to see if it's going to work to start with. So this is going to be this, and then my long's going to be this one, and that's going to be a negative number as well, right? So that's Balmoral. Crathis Castle, that's a west as well, so that's a negative number. So let's do this, and we'll do lat and long. Right, that was Crathis, Slains, Craigievar. So these are all the ones that we've been to recently as a family. I'm just going to use these as a starter for my fake JSON data here. And let's see what happens to when we map as it gets filled out a little bit. That's Craigie Var. Donator, we've not been to as a family, it was just me and the wife that went to that. So if I do that and refresh it, what does that give us? So now we're on to here. Ooh, look at that. Right, like that little drop animation that we put on there. So that's Balmoral Castle over beside, there we go, Balmoral Castle, yeah. This was Craigie Var Castle, that, okay. So we've got all the points right so far. Banchray would have been Crathis Castle. Now it's, oh yeah, Crathis Castle, close enough. Then, where were we? This was Slains and then Knockhall. So then what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to click on this and have it take me somewhere, right? So that's the part that we didn't have. We had it before. I need to go back and have a look at what we did. So in my maps.js, previously I was doing, where is it? This marker.addListener. So let's see what we can do with this. And then markers.push, and then no. So that would be, oh, we need to do that slightly differently. So let's keep that. So we would do var marker is equal to this guy. Cut that out of there and put that into there and paste that in, right? Then we would put marker into this array. I'm still not clear on if we need that or not, but we'll keep it there just now. And then this part is then going to do marker.addListener click event to somewhere. So in terms of where we are right now, that's going to be some made up data, but let's just put it into localhost. Actually, let's take this out of there and make this from our, oh, markers. Where's marker coming from there? That's already there. That's a bad name. That's a bad name. That's going to want to be actual marker. I'm going to come back and fix this. So this is going to go into here. href is going to be marker.href. So what I'm envisioning here is in here we would have another thing, which is our href. And this would be a string to where it could find the album, and then it would go to that location. So in here, if we were to kind of copy what we were doing before, it's a terrible URL, but let's just stick with it just now. So what I'm envisioning, you're gonna make me look that up, Manfred, are you? So this would be this would be, this is not how we're actually do it, but let's just see if it actually puts anything on the page. So 5001. So the first one that we did was Slains. Then we did Knockhall. Then we did Balmoral. Then we did Crathis. And then we did Craigie Var. So if we do all of that and we refresh the page, then hopefully what we should get is it renders, and then, oh, why do I lose my, oh, there we go. Then when I click on it, haha, doesn't go anywhere because that page doesn't exist. But the idea would be that that page would have the content of the album. Oh, it's coming together. It's coming together. Let's look up where Manfred's telling me I need to go visit. Based on that, this is Abbey Moor somewhere, isn't it? Copy. Paste. Pasted it twice because Castle Teoram. No, I've not been there. Where's that? That's on the... Oh, that's well further over. That's on the west coast. Over beside Fort William. No, I haven't been there. He just stops that. Hold on. Need to put your list. Nils is suggesting replace localhost castle with just castle. Should probably build URL. So, this was me just proving a point. So what I put in here was just me proving that the click event worked. So yeah, understood it's not going to go anywhere because at the minute the URL for the album that we create is based off of the album name. Now that results in kind of a messy URL. So what I'm actually envisioning is that this is going to be I might want to take another value when we create the album, which is the slug. And then the slug is what would go into the marker, is what I'm thinking. Also, don't forget about West Coast, Best Coast. So I haven't spent a lot of time in the West Coast. I've been to Fort William, and we did do this is going back a few years, but we did do a road trip with some friends back in the day, which took us to over at Skye. So we did a whole road trip over at Skye, went over the Calalachalsh. So where were you then? Oh, you went to one of the... Oh, you see, I've never been there. Oh no, that is Skye. Yeah, so we took the ferry over from Malig, drove around Skye for a bit, didn't make it to where you're pointing out there, Manfred. But yeah, took the car back over the bridge at the Calalachalsh and came back up over. And then while we were in Fort William, we climbed Ben Nevis. It's a great trip. Beautiful part of the world. Those two are from our last trip to Scotland. Both amazing, absolutely. So, with that working, what we would need to do is we would need to create a new... We need to serialize something. So at the minute I've hard coded this markers.json into here, and that's fine, but I would need to... So let's imagine that we've got... Let's imagine that we've got a slug, which is just the short name for the album. Right? Let's imagine that we've got that. That will allow us to start to play with this. So, pardon me. Okay, that didn't... broke something there. Short name, not a friendly. So what I mean by that is, so right now, if we were to go up here and create an album called, let's just use Balmoral as an example. So if we were to go up here and go Balmoral Castle, and give it a castle, and then date of visit is whatever we put in here before. Here, doesn't really matter. And then let's at least get that right. So that was 1, 2, that was the third one, I think. So let's grab this, put this in here, and then put this in here. If I were to create that album, then what it does at the minute is it inserts it, but the URL becomes albums Balmoral &20 percentage 20 castle. That's obviously not very nice. So what I'm imagining here is we would take the Balmoral Castle as the title, which is what we output onto the screen. But then we have another one, which is the slug. Now the slug could be, we could derive the slug based on what the user inputs, or we force them to provide a more meaningful, nice slug. And then that would be used as the href on the marker when it clicks to it. Also, Gary, I know that you've been adding a good amount more healthy physical activity to your routine. Just want to say it looks like it's making a good impact as you're looking. Well, thank you very much, Adil. I do appreciate it. Sorry if this violates some HR rules. Feel free to report me. We probably transform the name as Balmoral Castle or Balmoral. So perhaps. So let me address Adil's. So I have been, yes. So I've been getting back into the old the running routine, or trying to anyway. So for reasons that I won't go into on stream, I had to step away from running for a long time, and it's only recently I've started getting back into it. So I set myself a target of being able to get back to running a 5 kilometer run in under 30 minutes. And I did that via the Garmin application. So through that, you get a virtual coach. And I picked Amy. Now, I secretly think that Amy's trying to kill me, because although I asked her to run a 5K, she was making me run 11 kilometer runs. I don't know why. So Sunday was my long run, and it was an 11.26 kilometer run. Now, I know Amy's American, but I'm assuming that a kilometer is a kilometer across the world. So I asked her to make me run 5Ks in under 30 minutes, and she's making me run an 11.2 kilometer run. So I'm assuming that there's some method to her madness, but we'll wait and see. So it's a 16-week course, and currently she's very confident that I'm going to be able to achieve the goal. So if I were to be able to do that, the idea would be to do another course to try and get back down to kind of my PB level for my 5K. So I think my PB is like 24 minutes for a 5K. So I would like to get back to that. Garmin challenge incoming. Oh, bring it, Manfred. More, bring it. Back to running and cute new office mate. Sounds like everything coming up. So yeah. Oh no. So what? She was in my office today. I don't know if you saw Adil, but if I were to go, just to let folks know what Adil's referring to here. So if we go back down to here, that's my daughter. That's not what we're talking about just now. But this is my new office mate. So this is our new puppy called Bailey. She's a 9-week-old cockapoo. So she was in the office for the first time today, keeping me company. So this is where she holed up for basically the whole morning. She was at my feet, and I literally couldn't move my chair because I was going to run over her foot. So I was stuck at my computer the whole morning. And Kim, I hope they didn't think it was a 5 mile, because that's just silliness. But yeah, she's kind of cute, Manfred. I had to what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? I've completely forgotten the word. I had to compromise, is the word I'm looking for. So I've told Adil this before. I've always wanted a German Shepherd, an Alsatian, but the wife was like, "Nah, we're not getting anything like that." So it was her that came up with the idea of getting a cockapoo. So the fact that I was getting any dog, to be honest, I was happy. So so yeah, we got a cockapoo. So she's entirely too cute. Yeah, this is her. It's a kind of a front photo. So she's tiny at the minute. She will get bigger, but that's our Bailey, and that was her sitting on my lap having a wee snooze. Anyway, we're getting off topic, but thank you for that. So, where were we? So, yeah, what Kim was suggesting was that potentially we want to take what the album name is and truncate it, remove the spaces, hyphenate it or underscore it between the spaces to make it a more discoverable URL. And then what we want to be able to do is link to that from the homepage, which is here. And if we get all of those things in play, then we have a functioning website. And what I mean by functioning is that if I were to show this form to Steph, who I work with, she would probably laugh at me because it's not a particularly nice input field, let's be honest, but it does the job. So what I want to then do, so we need to work on creating the markers.json file so it's not hard coded. And if we get all of that in for tonight, then I think that's a kind of a good place to stop. She would never talk to me again, probably. Now, what I haven't told her yet is that I think at some point I'm going to ask her politely, can you fix this for me? But that's a conversation for a different day. Anyway, so let's go back to the C#. So that I think we've got the JavaScript side of things working. So from a JavaScript point of view, we fetch that marker.json, we bring it down to the client, we parse it, we create the markers, and we stick them onto the page, and that job's done. Or it will at least work based on the contents of the marker.json file. So what we need to do is then on the server side is we need to create that when we add a new album. So let's do that. Let's stop this and let's go into my let's delete those albums that we created because we don't want them lying around. So at the minute, everything that is created is persisted to disk, and that was one of the appeals of the template that I had because it doesn't need a database. So what we ended up with in here and in the www root folder, the albums folder, this is where we have test and Balmoral Castle, and in there, that's where our data.json file, that's what we serialize, that's where we grab the metadata and we stick it into there. So what we need is an additional metadata file right here that is the marker.json file. So let's nuke these ones because we don't want them anymore. Hey Maurice, how's it going? So let's have a think about how we're going to do this. We are going to want to, when we create an album, what we want to do is, first of all, we want to see whether that marker.json file exists. And if it does, we want to hydrate it to get all the markers. And then we're going to add a new marker in when we create it and work from there, I think is where we're going to go. So let's do that. So let's do string marker JSON path is equal to path dot. Now I'm completely winging this, so feel free to shout if there's anything that doesn't look right. So the web root path, I'm going to put it into the albums. I'm going to put it into there because it is specifically for the albums. And then in here, we'll make it marker.json. So then what we're going to want to do is if file.exists, I'm sort of winging that. Is that just using page model.file? No, we want it to use system.io.file.exists string path. So then marker.json file. If it exists, we're going to want to do something. And that's where we are going to want to have a model that we can pass to it. So previously in our models, we had a marker. We need a new one. So we need a new class here that is marker.cs. So then in album metadata, we did stuff like that. So in here, we're going to want to FRJ12345 is now following. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. If we do public marker and then we say, we look over here, we're going to borrow these two. And put them in here. Then we're gonna have, oh, we've missed class. Oh, public class marker. And then what we said was we're gonna have a public string, call it slug. Now, this is gonna break a little bit. I did wonder if it was you, Francis. As soon as I saw that, username, I thought it might be Francis. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, was that just the next available FRJ that could be found? Now, what I don't know is how the serialization is going to work. So let's just call this what we named it on the JavaScript side, which was just Latin long. We didn't call it slug, but we're going to call it slug. But over here, this is going to be slug. We'll need to formulate that URL later, but that'll give us a marker. Then what we want to do is we want to deserialize the contents of that marker.json into something that we can make use of. So there must be a deserialize being used somewhere, which is here. And we're going to copy that, and we're going to go back to where we were doing this. So we're going to say list of markers equals null. Don't like doing that, but let's wing it just now. And we're going to say that markers. Francis is saying just numbers. Good stuff. How have you been through this whole lockdown thing, Francis? I hope you've been good. So that there is my marker.json path, which is here. That's going to need system.io again. And if that thing doesn't exist, then let's just say that markers equals new list of marker. Okay, so we've done all of that, and then let's on the create, we won't need to do, yeah, I think that works. So then we're going to say var marker equals new marker. Marker dot lat is equal to latitude. Marker dot long is equal to longitude. And then we're going to say that marker dot slug is equal to marker dot slug is equal to name dot replace that with, let's go with that at the minute. There's more work to be done here, but let's do that at the minute. And then we're going to say that markers dot add marker. And then what we want to do is have a new one of these to write out our marker.json file. So this is going to be marker.json path, await JSON serialize, list of marker, list of marker, create stream markers. I don't like what's happened there, but let's see what happens. F5. Francis saying not bad, got back into a permanent job and lucky to be working through, so can't complain. A lot of folk haven't been that. Indeed, no, absolutely, no, you're absolutely right. I've been lucky to be working throughout the whole thing as well. There was a slight period where it was a little bit funny for a while, but no, on the whole, no complaints there. So before we do, oh no, we should be fine. So this is going to be Balmoral Castle. Balmoral Castle. So data visit, let's just make it up. It's here. And then what we decided was the longitude and the latitude was this. So let's go and set a breakpoint in here and set it here. Let's see what happens. We're going to say new album. So when we come into here, I expect that we're not going to have, that file won't exist. So we're going to create a new markers collection, which we did. Good. Then if we get down to here, we should create a new marker whose latitude is 57, whose longitude is that, and whose slug becomes Balmoral-Castle. Oh, we might want to do Tulu on that as well. So then, assuming all that works, we're going to await the creation of the data.json, and then we're also going to await the creation of JSON. Oh, it did something. Okay. What did that do? Let's go back to the file system. So in here, we created our data.json file, which has got that in it. Good. And then if we go back up to albums and say marker.json, we've got lat long. Okay. Okay. I don't know how it's going to handle the capitalization, but let's see what happens. So now if we come to here and go back to here, it's still going to have those original pins in it because that marker.json file isn't coming from the place that we just saved it. So if we go back to our code here and say marker.json, what do we call it? Markers. Oh, there we did. So is it marker or marker? I think it's markers, isn't it? It's markers. So we need to go and change that to be that. And then we need to go back and change for this. And then this is going to be albums / marker.json. So if we come back into here, then the whole site's going to be broken now. Ooh, I like the sound of that already. So that's going to be broken for reasons because it can't find, it won't be able to find that 404 not found. And that makes sense because this thing is now called this. So if we go back to here and refresh this, then hopefully it will have found some stuff. There we go. We'll let that play through. And then it blew up still. Not a lat long or lat long literal with finite coordinates in property lat. Okay. So I suspect. So I was hoping that it was going to work. It obviously didn't work. So if we go to where do we get the here, the marker? We run this through marker. Oh, we need to set a breakpoint here. If we run this, then marker dot lat. Oh, I wondered if it was the whole dot lat with a capital L and a lowercase l. Because what I've seen JSON coming back over from the server, it automatically takes the capital letters and make them lowercase, but that must be magic happening elsewhere that I haven't got when I do the fetch. Someone, was that Maurice doing that? So that's certainly a possibility. So there's a couple of things that could be going wrong here. So let's take that breakpoint off and let's go back into here and do a wee search here for marker.lat. So first of all, let's make these the same with my capital L's and my capital S. You know what? Cheers, Maurice. And the other thing was, what's being suggested was that my marker.cs is being suggested. So I wonder if, so because I'm using the system.text.json out of the box, I wonder if it's not doing that when it does the serialization. So that's maybe a setting that we can control. But for now, let's just make it the same. So what we're suggesting here is this is going to be a double. And that's going to be a double. Give that a try. See what happens there. Oh, what did that do? Errors exist. Show errors. What did I do? Oh, can it implicitly? Oh. Oh, because it's being passed in as a string. Or is it, where does that come from again? That comes directly in from there. So what happens if I just put it in as a double? Yeah, I was going with the changing the type up here. I was going to go with changing this to a double. Yeah, the number of problems seem to be increasing as we're going through this, unfortunately. But let's give it a try and see where we get to. Let's see what comes in from this. Show errors. String to double. Where's this method? Oh, because there's lots of. Oh no, hold on, it wasn't that one. This one. I think having it as a double makes sense. Double. Try again. Tackle this when we have the time. Indeed. I mean, all of this is administrivia. As far as my eldest child is concerned, she just wants to have stuff on the screen. So okay, so that's potential. I'm going to assume that marker.json is broken because of reasons. So let's delete those again and start from the beginning. So 20. I don't know what you said, what I said to comment on that one, but probably Maurice. So that's 404 because it doesn't have anything there, so that's fine. So let's put something there. Balmoral Castle, data visit, latitude, new album. So in here, let this play through, let this play through, and what it created on the file system is lots of numbers and lots of numbers at the end. Okay, I think that's okay. Let's back to here. So then it's got that, and that's obviously a moral castle, isn't there? That I think that worked, folks. I think we've got a pin. So let's do it again. Let's create another one. Where were some of the other ones that we went to? So if we go and open the root one here, let's create one for Knockall Castle. So we're going to go and create Knockall Castle. Knockall Castle. Data visit. I don't really care at the minute. So Knockall is 57.3287. Longitude minus 2.0123. New album. What did it do? Okay, so you can come out. You can come out. What did it do? Back over to here and look at my markers.json. Balmoral. It's all there. Okay, that looked good. Ooh, look at that. It's functional. And then we've got our this is still broken in the sense that this is not using the right slug, or it's not using the right thing here. But it's there. But why is that in album rather than albums? Unless they also push. We built the slug but didn't rename the folder. Yes, we did. We didn't do that part yet, so that part is still broken, but that's okay because this is also not going to album dot whatever. It's going to the wrong place. So there's a couple of things we need to fix, but if we go to, let's go back to where we create the album path, which was, let's fix that one. Now, Kim mentioned a package called Slugify. Let's have a look at that. Slugify? Where was that? This one. Oh, there seems to be a couple of them from a couple of different folks. But let's go with this one because it's got the same name in it. Simple slug clean URL generator helper for Microsoft.NET Framework .NET Standard. With default settings, you will get a hyphenized lowercase alphanumeric version of any string that you please. That sounds perfect. So let's make sure that this is actually the one that Kim sent us to. So the source code repository is over here. Oh, and this is a fork of this one. Okay, fine. I remember using the original project several years ago, but this is the update for .NET Core support. Okay, cool. That sounds good. Installation is just that. And then slug helper, blah, slug is helper.generate slug. Okay, so let's give this a try. So let's grab the package reference, which is this one. Oh, you caught? I'm a simple guy, Maurice. Not Maurice. Manfred. I like to keep things simple. And yes, it could well be another member of the token family. Absolutely. So if we go over to our project, which is here, and they're already out of alphabetical order, so we're going to put this in instead. So then if we go to where we did the replace, which was here, so let's do a string slug name is equal to, and the example that was given was blah blah blah. Slug helper is equal to that. Slug helper needs something. I am missing a namespace. I'm wanting you to give me it. Not giving me the. I see what you did there, Adil. I see what you did there. Slug is helper.generate. This one, and then that is going to be the name. And then this is going to be here. Now then when we did the path, we're not going to put the name, we're going to put the slug name. Now why is this not working here? We're not done our restore. F5, see if that'll help restore. Show errors. Type namespace. Yes, understood. But now there should hopefully be, there we go. Now that it's restored the package, it can now find the namespace to add in. So if we do all of that, and let's go back one more time into here and take these things out. So back to the beginning, create a new folder again. I hear the release cadence on that repo is really slow. I think I just caught up with what you're saying there. Lag. I'm there now. I'm with you. So if we go into here and let's do Balmoral again. Balmoral, data visit. Latitude is this one, and I think it was this one. New album. What does that give us? But if we go into here and do Balmoral hyphen castle. That's just the URL, that's just the redirect that's causing problems. Okay, so that worked. So castle not found. It went away, it disappeared. So there's some work that needs to be done there with the redirect. So the redirect at the bottom here is the redirect at the bottom here is causing a problem. Ooh, I like that. I think you should raise that as an issue on the repository, Maurice. I like that idea. That's awesome. So this here is going to be just slug name now. I think what we called it. Yes, that's what we called it. But the other thing that's not quite right though is that this here, no, don't combine. Where does it create the album? The album is being created from the path, and the path hard to decide which one. Most of the good ones are 3/4 ruins. Taternator is now following. Thank you very much for the follow. So the thing I'm not clear on is why this became. Oh no, that's okay. I think. So the title is still there. So the name of it's still there. So I wonder what this is outputting. Cheers, Maurice. So let's do this once again. Let's do this. I'll let Francis. Like I say, I'm a simple person. If it's too complicated, I'll forget what it means. It's kind of why I've got the names on my wrist as well, so I can always verify the names. Balmoral Castle, this one. I've forgotten which one's which now. I think that's it there. I think it's there. If we come in here, ooh, that worked, right? So then, if we come in here, I got the coordinates wrong. So Balmoral Castle is now beside Knockall Castle. So if I click on this one, that'll still be broken because we haven't appended album into anything. But Maurice is asking me to check the issue, so let's go to the issue. Created issues 3. Error pages should show image. 401, image of a castle with closed doors, like it. 404, image of a broken castle or ruin. 500, image of a castle under attack. Love it. Kim's asking, did I miss anything? Last I heard was that the slug was wrong. I had to step away. So no, that was, so the slug was right, but it was wrong. But that was because of the way that we were redirecting to it. So that's been fixed. So the thing that's left is in the something. Before that, it was only lowercase, but still had a space. No, so that was because. Oh no, was it? So Anyway, that part's been fixed. The thing that's still missing is on the CSHTML in here. No, in the map.js is where we're going. So rather than just being slug marker.slug, we want this to be, we're going to concatenate, we're going to do album slash plus, see what that does. So I wonder if that is now going to work. So drop it on there and we click. Oh! That worked. I'm not sure what that sound was. I do apologize for that. That wasn't a sound I expected to come out my mouth there. But oh, if we delete a castle, we need to delete it from the marker.json as well. But let's manually delete it just now and put some data back in. It was a happy canny sound. Let's close off some of these again. Okay, so into here, and then let's put in all of our castles back in again. So now there is a problem added to the button on the Stream Deck. I really need to do more with the Stream Deck. I don't really use it all that much, to be honest. I need to do more with it. But have you all seen all the new stuff that's coming out from Elgato this last week? There's so much cool stuff coming out from Elgato. They've got a mixer deck thing. They've got a camera. Oh yeah, you've not seen it? New Elgato products. They've got a whole range now. So they've got a face cam. There was a new Stream Deck. They've got this Wave XLR microphone interface and digital mixing solution. They've got the face cam. So yeah, they've literally got the whole thing now. So I think they already had the microphone, but you can get all the stuff you need from one place now. But I was curious about the face cam. So one of the problems I have, it's not so much with the Logitech that I've got now, but one of the problems that I had was, well, with the Razer Kaio that I had, is that it would kind of manually focus in and out all the time, or it would automatically focus in and out rather than having a fixed focal length, and I couldn't find a way to fix it. The Logitech that I switched to is better, but one of the things that the face cam does is it takes care of all that for you. It's designed to be used in this context rather than supporting other stuff. So yeah, I'm curious about face cam is focus locked. Yes, exactly. But it also, there's a little bit of movement in there. It does some clever stuff, is what I heard. So yeah, I'm not planning on buying anything at the minute, but yeah, it looked pretty cool. Got to go. Good luck with your holiday site. Thank you very much, Kim. Have a good evening. I probably should actually. So what have I got? I've got the Stream Deck. I've got the key lights, and I've got the green screen. So I've got 3 Elgato products surrounding me. Well, technically 4 because there's 2 key lights. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. So if we go back to here and we run the site again, let's refresh this. Let's make it happen. Well, you see, I'm not sure. There are other more important streamers that would come before me. So if we were to go in here, let's go back to our data so we get the actual, let's get the right data in here. Sure. where's the one I wanted? This is the one I wanted. So let's put in the data correctly. So let's create Slane's Castle. Slane's Castle. Data visit. Don't really care about the data visit at the minute, but let's put in 57.4151 minus 1.8325. So that's Slane's Castle. Boom. So that's not centered very well, but if we start adding in other ones, so this is going to be not call castle, not call castle, data visits that, and let's do 57.3287 and then minus 213, new album. There we go. The next one is Balmoral Castle that we went to. Balmoral, data visit 57.0397 and then minus 3.2292. So then we get Balmoral. Nice. So then we've got Crathis Castle. Crathis Castle. That's not what I want to type. Data visit doesn't really matter. 57.06. I see that there's some stuff coming through in the chat room. I'm going to come back to it once I get this data put in. Minus 2.4398. Another one, and then the last one for now, which is Craigievar Castle, and then Craigievar Castle data visit. I'll just use the one that was there. 57.1738 and then minus 2.7181. New album. Okay, oh, look at that. And now if I click on Balmoral, it'll take me to the Balmoral one. This is shaping up nicely. Craigievar takes me to Craigievar. Was that the right one? Yes, that's Crathis. Not call. And then Slanes. Look at that. There we go. Click the link, saw the 5,000. Is that how much it cost? I didn't look at the cost. And hold on, I should look at the link that Marie sent through. Or is that the link? My is overkill, but it's so good. Hold on. Yeah, no. Tom's got a lot of money. Anyway, I'll keep that for later though. So 6,000 in total. Yeah, Scott Hanselman and Troy Hunt both moved over to DSLR with a power battery thing as camera upgrades. Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that. I low-key stock their setups to goals. So I've currently got I forget what it's called even. It's a Logitech something that I've currently got. I switched away from the Razer Kaio and I've got this one. Can I find out what it is? Prop camera with green screen. It might tell me in here. I have the Logitech C922 is the one that I've got. I had issues with the whole green screen with it though. I had to mess around with it. It's still not very good, to be honest. Anyway, that was a. I don't know if that was issues with my setup or specifically with the camera, but no one needs to see my face in 4K, says Adil. So that works, I think. There's some weird artifacts happening on. Oh, I wonder if that's because it does have any photos in it. Some weird artifacts happening in the the actual castles, the albums at the bottom here. But I think that's because we haven't actually got any photos in it. So that's kind of where we need to go next. I need to be able to allow my eldest to be able to say upload photos. So you would be able to choose files, upload photos, and then it would come in here. But that's I don't want to say it too much, but that's functional. There's obviously ways to break it that need to be handled. There's work that needs to be done to allow the deletion of an album and to remove it from the markers.json. But that seems relatively functional to me. And storing them in the way I want them to be stored. Yeah, I like it. So did Maurice create? That's not the great additional issues, so that's fine. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I need to commit some of this code because there's a lot of code in here that we need to tinker with. But I think we lost the title of the castle. I thought I saw that as well, but I wasn't clear on. Hold on. So we see it there, but I think that's the description. I think you're right that this is. Why is that not? So we're slugifying it for the purposes of creating the folder name, but we didn't change it when we created the new album. So I'm curious as to why. Oh, I know why. No, we did. Because it's when we read it back in again. It's using the album path from the file system. So the title, yes, we would need to do that. To answer Maurice's question, no, I haven't had a chance to look at your side project, Maurice. I do apologise. And I'm not. Oh, I kind of am. I'm not ignoring the other thing that we spoke about. I have currently, I think, 6 unread messages from you sitting in Slack, Maurice, as a reminder. Oh, give me 1 sec. How can I mute? Oh, I didn't hit the button. I'm sorry. I went to hit the button and the sneeze moved my hand. I do apologise. What was I saying? Yes, Maurice, I haven't. I wanted to have what we spoke about, but with one thing and another, I've not had a chance yet. So it's still on my radar. The unread messages are still in Slack to remind me to arrange something. But with the new puppy and various other things, I just haven't had a chance. So I clicked on it after the last stream, I think, but I haven't really dug into it. So let's bring it onto the stream. So Farm Pi, an Octo Farm on Raspberry Pi. A Raspberry Pi distribution for 3D printers. It includes the Octofarm software for managing and monitoring multiple Octoprint instances out of the box. Okay. Where do I get it? Supported printers. What's this? Change. Interesting. So this is you've created your own version of. I don't fully understand what this is. All built and released using GitHub Actions. Where we look. Running Octofarm on your. So this is just a complete distribution that has Octofarm already installed, ready to be used. Is that right? Set up Farm Pi. It's a Raspberry Pi. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Image. Flash it to your SD, boot it in. Okay, cool. Very cool. So if anyone's doing 3D printing and wants to take a look at it, so I still haven't got this yet. I haven't got anything related to this. I got a puppy instead. So I've definitely got even less time for playing with things like this. But maybe one day. Maybe one day. But yeah, so Nils. Here we go. Okay, so let's click on this one. This is something else. So before, when I mentioned that I have got 6 unread messages from Maurice regarding certain things, I've got 6 unread messages in Signal from Manfred about this project, because this is on my list of things to look into as well. So Rockolai, if that's how we're pronouncing it, is a rocket fast query of chocolate. So it will help with. Last time I looked at it, it was it does the equivalent of Choco Outdated and I want to say Choco List Local Only. But in the examples that Manfred showed me, it was magnitudes of difference in terms of how quick it took. So what I haven't really dug into yet is what it's doing under the hood and whether we could implement it in Chocolate itself. Now, Chocolate obviously has some additional. This is a limited. I don't want to call it limited. That's the wrong way of putting it. It was. This is laser focused on doing a couple of specific things, whereas Chocolate obviously has the overhead of doing all the other stuff. So it's whether we could incorporate some of the speed improvements. Now, the other thing that, and where the name comes from, is that this is written in Rust, I believe, Manfred. So there wouldn't be a direct port over, but depending on how it's implemented, there's maybe some optimizations that we could bring back into Chocolate itself based on the learnings from this. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely go and take a look. It looks like at least a couple of other chocolatey moderators have had a look at this. It's a nerd snipe on that issue. Which one's that? Yes, I remember reading that issue. Yes. Maybe one day, not in the immediate future. There's stuff that we're working on at the minute. So, but I would love to take a look at this at some point. Yes. So that's 2 pet projects, or two other folks' pet projects that are on my list. Like I say, 6 unread messages from Manfred in one communication mechanism, another 6 unread messages from another in another one. I'll get there. But yeah, going back to what Nils was saying, so the reason that this is being lost, or the name of the castle is being lost, is because when it recreates or it hydrates the album information from the file system, it uses the folder name as the name of the album. So yes, Nils is right. We will need to extend the metadata that we created to have name property. So we would need public string name here, and then that would be the get and set there. And in there, when we create a new album metadata, which is here, we would want to say that album metadata dot name is equal to path. That name is not very good at all. And then when we use description on the layout page, which is not on the layout page, which is on the album page, I think, which is this one, then album.name is not that one. We want that to be model.album. Oh no. So the album does have a name property, so that's now going to be broken because we would want that to not be name anymore. We would want to no, the metadata needs to change to be lost it. Album metadata is going to be album name, and then when we map description, when we do this work, we're going to say that name is equal to metadata.album. Well, but yes and no. I think so. I've added the album name to the metadata, but the top level album, which we are mapping to and from, already has a name property. So we just want to override that with the album name rather than taking the path. And I think that will solve the issue. I think. Because initially when it gets hydrated, that will be passed in as the name, but then it will get blown away, I think. So if we load this up again, show errors, album name. A lot of this needs to be refactored with all of these additions. That's why I'm not going to check it in today. I'll try and do that during the week. What's that do? Name.replace. Where's that happening? Null reference exception. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Is that because the name is? Name is null. Why is name? Oh, because of course the metadata doesn't have it. Idiot. So if we were to go into here and into here, then we would need to put album name. This is so hard to read. And part of the issue is because I put wrong thing at the start. Album name. Why is that not? Album. I don't understand what's going on there. But yeah, so the metadata is broken now because we added the album name property and it's not hydrating it anymore, which is causing the null reference exception. But if we were to do this one more time into the breach, which is up to here, and delete all of these things and refresh the page, having let it play on, then into here one more time, should hopefully take us through to, no, I've completely broken it. But why is it even attempting that? Because there shouldn't be any albums in there for it to do any work on. So if this doesn't work, I need to call it a night. There we go. Now if we go back in and create a model castle, and then let's make this obvious that this is the description. Doesn't matter if the latitude and longitude are not right. Model castle. How did that work? I don't know what I've done. Broken something. I don't know what. Oh. Yeah, I've broken a lot here. I don't know what I've done. This was working, but I've also just broken it. It's now going to be lost in the history of what I did as well. Okay, I need to tidy this up. I'm going to take a note that adding album name broke stuff. Finally, right. But that's all I've got for tonight. I think I'm going to come to a close there. But thank you very much for hanging out tonight. I do appreciate it. In terms of a recap, we continued to working on this new GLA website, which is going to be a placeholder for all the family trips that we've taken, with a view to allowing my eldest child to input the data and to collect all of this in a simple website. Most of the functionality that I want is there, which is to be able to create an album, give it a description, date visited, etc., and then be able to plot that on a Google map of all the places that we've been, and then to be able to upload photos that say this is the places that we've been. So keep an eye out. I mean, it is live. There is a live version of the site. Obviously, it doesn't have all the stuff that we've been working on here locally, but there is a there is a deployed version of the website up on Azure that has the basic thing, the basic template. The idea is that all of the stuff that we've got locally will be pushed up here at some point. So keep an eye out on this being filled in with the various trips that we've been on, with some photos that go with it. But for now, I think that's it. So thank you very much for hanging out again. I might do one more week of this and then look to start doing something else, because hopefully at that point this will be at least to a point that it's functional, and I'll be able to show it to my eldest and she'll be able to take it over and start filling it out. And then we can start looking at something else. Don't know what that something else is yet, but I'll have a think about it. But thank you again, and I will see you all on the Tinternets. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.